Have you ever been scrolling online maybe or picked up a graphic novel and seen art that just stops you? It's so polished, incredibly detailed, almost like hyper real but still stylized. It almost looks like it wasn't drawn by hand, more like rendered, you know. Well, that specific looks super glossy, really fashionable, and you see it everywhere now. This is the modern Korean Webtoon style, or Manhwa. And that's what we're diving into today, because our sources, they don't just explain what it looks like. They get into the nitty-gritty, the visual DNA, and maybe more importantly, how generative AI tools are. Well, they're basically learning to mimic it instantly. It's this really wild intersection of art, tech, and culture.
It really is, yeah. Our mission today for you listening is kind of twofold. We want to break down what makes this style tick, aesthetically speaking. What are those key elements? But then critically, we need to tackle how these new AI tools are jumping in, replicating it super fast, and what that means. Is it disruption? Is it just a tool? And yeah, you absolutely have to see it in context. This style didn't just appear out of nowhere. Its huge popularity, I think, is definitely tangled up with the global explosion of K-pop. It's all part of the same, cultural wave defining what's cool right now.
That K-pop connection feels really important. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Manhwa feels super modern, right? But it definitely has roots. When you look closely, what parts of its look are borrowed from, say, classic Japanese anime or manga?
Oh, for sure. There's a shared ancestry there. Absolutely. You can see that common language, Things designed to get that emotional connection. The big expressive eyes are still often there, drawing you in. And the simplified features, like the small nose, small mouth, and the hair, always very stylized hair. Plus, the figures generally keep that kind of slender, idealized shape. That basic toolkit has worked globally for ages.
Right, but if you put a 90s manga volume next to a new webtoon on your screen,
yeah,
the difference is huge. It's immediate. The manhwa has this glossiness, this incredible polish. What's the secret ingredient there? What makes it feel so contemporary?
Yeah, that polish is the key difference. And what's really driving it, I think, is that modern manhwa is born from digital art creation. It's not just taking sketches and scanning them. The whole visual style is built around what digital software does best. That's the source of that super clean, modern vibe that, traditional ink on paper manga might not have or might not even be going for. You see it in the techniques, like heavy use of really smooth, perfect gradients, no hint of texture sometimes, and something called soft cell shading. That's where the blocks of color blend really cleanly, smoothly, without the little imperfections or textures you'd get with real paint or ink. The lighting feels almost mathematically perfect sometimes. So you get this look that's hyper polished, even if the characters themselves are stylized.
Okay, that clicks. It's leaning into the perfection that digital tools offer. That makes total sense. Now, something else the sources really highlight, which feels pretty unique to manhwa compared to, say, American comics or even manga, is this intense focus on fashion. It's not just drawing people. It's like high-end fashion illustration sometimes.
Absolutely critical, yeah. It's central to the identity, I'd argue. The characters aren't just wearing, generic t-shirts and jeans. The artists often put incredible detail into depicting current fashion, real-world street trends, sometimes even designer looks. It makes the whole thing feel incredibly relevant, very stylish, aspirational even. The characters are designed really to look like trendsetters. It mirrors that same intense focus on visual presentation you see with K-pop idols, right?
And it's super specific stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just vague, cool clothes. The sources point out recurring items like those oversized bomber jackets, layered crop tops, the high-waisted shorts, those really distinct, chunky platform sneakers. You see them again and again.
Exactly. It's like a visual style guide that's constantly updating with what's trending right now.
And that fashion focus, that ties into the body shapes too.
Directly.
Yeah.
This isn't about drawing realistic anatomy. It's a conscious choice by the artist to emphasize a very specific, very fashionable, idealized body type. Think about those proportions we often see. Especially female characters tend to have these really long legs, dramatically elongated, and often slightly smaller heads relative to the body. It's sometimes called the 8-head height ratio in art circles. It gives that tall, elegant, almost supermodel look. And this is where it gets really relevant for you thinking about AI. All these specific details, the exact cut of a jacket, the perfect blend on the hair, that precise leg-to-body ratio, these are measurable things. They're the data points that these AI art generators are being fed. They're learning the recipe for the trend with unnerving accuracy.
Which leads us right into the experiment mentioned in the sources. Okay, so they took a manhwa-style image, right, a reference, and they used one of these AI tools. The sources mentioned names like Nano Banana, basically tools optimized for this anime webtoon look. And just gave it a simple text prompt. And the result was instant. Like, bam, high-quality illustration right out of the gate. The AI didn't need to, practice drawing for years. It just produced the look.
Yeah.
That polished manhwa aesthetic from a few words. Like girl, bomber jacket, long legs, soft shading.
And that's the crux of the commercial issue, isn't it? That's what the sources are really grappling with. Because manhwa, as a style, often relies on that efficiency, that polished replication, the very things AI is getting incredibly good at. The implication is pretty stark. It suggests that this rapid AI advancement is almost certainly going to lead to, well, a devaluation of basic skills in the commercial illustration world. Think about entry-level work, right? Quick character sketches for a game, maybe simple illustrations for an article, concept art. If an AI can spit out a perfectly on-trend, perfectly rendered image that hits all the manhwa-style notes in seconds, what happens to the economic value of a human artist spending hours, maybe days, getting that same basic result? The market might just choose the instant, cheaper option.
Okay, I hear that. And it sounds scary for artists. But haven't we heard this before? Like when Photoshop first came out, people worried it would kill traditional painting skills. Or when digital tracing got easy, why is this AI moment potentially different? Is it really going to just replace those basic skills?
That's a really fair question. And I think the difference boils down to two things, really. One is the speed of improvement, the rate of iteration that's unlike anything we've seen. But the other, maybe more crucial point, is that this AI potentially removes the need for the foundational skills in the first place for certain outputs. Photoshop helped an artist who already understood light, form, color. It sped up their process. This AI, especially with a style like manhwa that has pretty clear rules, can generate the polished final product without the user necessarily having those deep skills. It's not just a faster tool. It's potentially a replacement for the initial skill acquisition for some tasks. Plus, think about the style itself. Because manhwa is so based on that digital perfection, the smooth blends, the clean lines, it's actually, in a way, mathematically simpler for an AI to learn and replicate perfectly compared to, say, the subtle, messy textures of oil paint or the unpredictable way watercolor bleeds. The manhwa style is highly quantifiable, and quantifiable things are what current AI models are really, really good at mastering instantly.
Okay, framing it that way, the rate of change plus the style's inherent quantifiability, that does feel different.
Yeah.
But let's flip it around. Because the tech isn't just seen as a threat, right? The sources also talk about it as a tool, an augmentation.
Right.
For artists who are already established, or maybe even for people like writers who have ideas but maybe, can't draw, AI could be this incredible assistant, generating quick concepts, mood boards, trying out hundreds of color schemes or outfits in minutes, not days. It frees up so much time from that initial, sometimes tedious ideation phase.
Absolutely. It can be a massive time saver and idea generator. So where does that leave the, let's say, the skilled human artist in the long run? If the AI gets really good at nailing that basic, trendy, polished look instantly, then maybe the human artist gets to focus their energy, their valuable time, on the things the AI can't do easily, or maybe can't do at all. What would that be? Well, maybe highly personalized touches, intentionally breaking the style rules, adding unique textures or flaws that give character, things that aren't predictable, and critically, bringing their unique vision, their personal voice, their ideas. The value could shift away from just being able to render perfectly in the current style towards strategic creativity, unique concepts, and that personal artistic signature. That's much harder for an AI to replicate authentically.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. So let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways from our deep dive today. This modern manhwa style, defined by that super digital polish, smooth gradients, soft shading, and a huge focus on current fashion and those specific idealized body proportions. And generative AI, it's hitting this scene with a double impact. On one hand, yeah, it probably devalues the ability to just quickly replicate that basic trendy look. But on the other hand, it could be this amazing tool for speeding up workflows and letting artists focus on the harder stuff, refinement, unique details, the core creative ideas.
Exactly. Which leaves us with maybe a final thought to chew on, building on that tension. If AI can master a popular polished style like manhwa almost overnight, replicating its key features, the fashion, the proportions, faster than human artists can even establish the trend, does that speed things up too much? Like, will the sheer speed of AI replication actually make artistic trends become obsolete faster? If everyone can generate the hot new style instantly and perfectly, does that style lose its appeal, its cool factor, much quicker than before? Does the trend cycle itself just accelerate into hyperspeed?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Something to definitely think about next time you're looking at art online or see that super glossy cover. Start noticing those details, the shading, the fashion, the proportions. You might start seeing the algorithm's fingerprint in more places than you think. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.